I'm Christine, 72, sitting on the deck of my oceanfront cottage, sipping a glass of wine and watching the sunset. I can't help but reflect on the long and arduous journey that led me here. 6 months ago, I was a grieving widow, facing the heart-wrenching betrayal of my son and daughter-in-law. Now, I'm a woman who's found her strength and independence. A few months back, my lawyer, James Thompson, came to finalize the settlement with Wade and Romy. They'd hired an expensive attorney to contest the trust arrangements, but it all fell apart. The investigation showed that my late husband, Henry, had made all the financial arrangements legally and properly. And Wade's debt to the business, after interest and penalties, had ballooned to over $97,000. James handed me the settlement agreement. They fought hard, arguing family obligations should come first, but the law is clear on debt, he said. Wade and Romy had to agree to an 8-year payment plan. They even tried to get a family forgiveness clause, but it was a no-go. Wade broke down, saying I was ruining our relationship over money. But I knew it was about standing up for myself. As I sat there, I was reminded of the day everything started to fall apart. It was just a week after Henry's funeral. I was still in the depths of grief, and the dining room, where we'd shared so many family meals, felt empty without him. My son, Wade, 45, and his wife, Romy, 42, joined me for dinner. Romy, who'd always been cold towards me, suddenly said, "Now that Henry is gone, grieve, pack your bags, and never come back. This house was never really yours anyway." Wade just smiled and nodded. I was in shock. This was the home Henry and I had built over 35 years. I'd managed every aspect of it, from the creaky floorboards to the temperamental faucets. They claimed it would be too much for me to handle alone and suggested I move to a senior community. Wade even said they needed the space to expand their family. It was like a cold wave crashing over me. They didn't just want me out, they wanted my house. I tried to reason with them, but they were relentless. I was given just 2 weeks to find a new place and move out. That night, as I sat in our bedroom, surrounded by the memories of our life together, I felt a small spark of determination. Henry had always handled our finances, but he'd taught me to be thorough. I decided to find out what I was really entitled to. 10 days later, I went to the bank. The manager, Mrs. Jenkins, was kind. She pulled up our accounts, and to my surprise, there were more accounts than I knew about. There were joint checking and savings accounts, but also several in my name only, 2 CDs, a money market account, and a trust account established 5 years ago. I was confused. Henry had never mentioned any of these. Mrs. Jenkins explained that sometimes clients set up separate accounts for protection, especially in complex family situations. As I looked through the statements, I realized Henry had been systematically protecting me. The trust account had been receiving transfers from Henry's company, Thompson Construction, which Wade had said was sold and barely covered debts. But according to the bank records, it was still active. I then visited the business accountant, Mr. Brown. He told me that 5 years ago, Henry had restructured a company and transferred ownership to a trust, with me as the primary beneficiary. The business had been profitable, taking on smaller, reliable jobs. Henry had been worried about Wade's financial struggles and Romy's expensive tastes. He'd made loans to Wade from the business account but had protected an equal or greater amount for me. Wade's debt to the business was substantial, around $89,000. He'd been less than honest about the family's financial situation. When I met with Tom, the foreman of the company who'd worked with Henry for over 20 years, he told me Wade had been monitoring the business income, trying to time his loan requests. Wade came to the house while I was talking to Tom. He tried to assert his authority over the business, but Tom and I stood our ground. Tom asked for proper documentation, and I supported him. 3 days later, Wade and Romy came over in a rage because Tom wouldn't give them business information without proper authorization. I showed them the trust documents and financial statements. They were in disbelief. Romy claimed I knew nothing about business, but I explained that Henry had seen what was coming. I also revealed that 18 months ago, Henry had taken out a home, equity loan on the house, and transferred the money to the trust. He was protecting me from being thrown out of my own home. In the end, they left, threatening to contest the arrangements. But they had no leg to stand on. Now, Henderson Construction continues to thrive under Tom's management. The cottage in Mendocino, which Henry had bought for me through the trust 3 years ago, is my haven. I've decided to share my story with a support group for women who've faced financial manipulation by family members. I want to tell them about the difference between being a loving family member and a doormat, and the importance of understanding one's financial situation. Henry gave me the gift of protection, and now I can use it to help others. So, as I watch the waves roll in, I'm filled with a deep sense of peace and satisfaction. I've learned that true freedom means standing up for myself and never having to beg for what's rightfully mine. And I'm curious, if you were in my place, what would you do?